Welcome everyone. I am Nicola Ashburner, one of the client relationship managers at Verde. Thank you for taking the time to review these slides and videos from our recent Greentree user group held on the 14th of February. Today I will take you through Verde changes over the last year and a who's who in the team. Our project manager will talk about the project management office and what it does. The consultants will take you through product updates both from MYOB and Verde. I will cover off some tips and tricks and some nice to have apps. And then we will go through any questions that we had from the live session. You may have noticed a recent transition within the Verde group structure, particularly with the emergence of Advanced solutions for MYOB Advanced and Project Salsa for Oracle NetSuite, now distinct from the rest of our operations. This change, effective since last year, reflects our commitment to providing specialized support for each of our core solutions. With continuing high demand from our MYOB Greentree customers, it became imperative to create a dedicated team focused solely on this solution. By separating NetSuite and Advanced, we ensure that each solution receives the specialized attention it requires. Our commitment to MYOB Greentree as our flagship product remains unwavering. With Verde now exclusively dedicated to MYOB Greentree, we are driving specialization within our teams to provide better service to our Greentree customers. We added 3 new people to our MYOB Greentree team last year and will continue to strive to deliver outstanding outcomes for all of our Greentree clients, while also working diligently as developers to extend the functionality further through Verde. Today we will be demonstrating some of the newer features of MYOB Greentree, both from ourselves and MYOB, as well as some oldies but goodies you may not be aware of. MYOB's focus for the next few releases is payroll and technology compliance, as well as ticking off some of the customer enhancement requests the various consultants across the community have logged and voted for in MYOB's ideas portal. It is always worth asking us to add an idea if you don't mind waiting and don't want to pay us to develop it for you. MYOB have also started work with the third party they use for e-dot scraping on an e-invoicing project, so we will let you know more about that once we have an update. The next pack will be available shortly, so please be in contact with your consultant if you haven't already upgraded. We do recommend you upgrade at least annually to keep compliant and on supported version. And please note we do have a dedicated MYOB Greentree release history page on our website. Let me introduce you to our team. We do appoint a lead consultant to each customer, but we are trying to spread the work to give customers exposure to multiple specialized consultants and to give you an alternative contact. Penny is the group CEO. Verde's founder Vlad has stepped back into the company and him and I are now client relationship managers. Kent is our new project manager who started last year and he is shared across the group. We have 10 very experienced consultants, having added 2 additions in 2023, both of who came with Greentree experience from the client base, including Michelle, who has taken on our support desk. There are 3 long-term technical consultants writing customizations and developing the product and supporting it for us. Plus, we have the shared services of our sales and marketing team, Wayne and Juanita, and our finance manager, Annalise. As mentioned earlier, we've introduced Advanced solutions for MYOB Advanced and Project Salsa for Oracle NetSuite. Rationale behind this restructuring is quite straightforward. MYOB Greentree, MYOB Advanced, and Oracle NetSuite each warrant dedicated attention and focus. We have dedicated teams for each core solution. This allows us to provide tailored support and development services to meet the unique needs of each solution. Some clients have migrated or have started looking at migration. We understand that some of our Greentree customers may be considering transitioning to cloud-based solutions in the future. If you're one of them, I encourage you to speak with Juanita or Wayne. They can provide insights and guidance on our cloud offerings and help you explore your options. Despite these changes, our commitment to MYOB Greentree remains unwavering. We're driving specialization within our teams to better serve our Greentree clients. Our dedicated Greentree team will continue to deliver outstanding outcomes for our clients, while also working diligently to extend the platform further through Verde development. Our expanded offerings and dedicated teams demonstrate our commitment to providing the highest level of support and expertise across all our solutions. Whether you're using MYOB Greentree, MYOB Advanced, or Oracle NetSuite, you can trust that we're here to support you every step of the way. I will now hand you over to our project manager, Kent Radford, to introduce himself and to explain what you can expect from working with him on a project.
Hi everyone, welcome to all the Greentree customers here online today. Thank you for joining in remotely to this event. My name is Kent Radford, and so I'm a project manager and I head up the PMO at Verde across the group. I appreciate the chance to speak today, to introduce myself, to give you an update from the lens of a project manager, the value we can provide, and ways we are working to improve project delivery from our PMO at Verde. By way of agenda, I'd just like to introduce myself and then talk from a partnership perspective. Firstly, covering who is the new PM and background, and how we are strengthening our partnership and offering in this space. Second, then really going into what are the expectations of the project manager, what are you getting in having a dedicated PM, why has the PM been positioned for your project, and how will the PM contribute to the delivery of your project. So as I mentioned, my name is Kent Radford. I joined Verde back in October last year. However, I'm still on the journey of meeting each of you, and that'll come in time. But I'm looking forward to working with you and helping you in your endeavours in the partnership with Verde. I'm a project manager by trade with experience on both sides of the fence and have been tasked to review project quality and delivery at Verde from the PMO. As I sit at the Verde group level, I get to work across and I do have the visibility into the three companies as the project manager. So for any new projects going forward, I would likely be assigned as a dedicated PM. However, that really is based on the size, complexity, and risk of the project. So what I'm going to do, as described in one sentence, really is help manage your project and stakeholders to successful outcomes. Verde wants the best for you, and it's a commitment we have in providing someone who can sit there in a dedicated role and with a lens toward the success of your investment. Now, I've mentioned PMO a few times, and maybe not everyone knows what a PMO is. So that stands for Project Management Office, and essentially, with a dedicated PMO, we're saying that role and lens is our Verde commitment to our continuous improvement to our customers. I've published the definition there, you'll see on screen, and outlined some of the values also. So a PMO is a centralized unit within an organization that defines and maintains project management standards and practices. It is responsible for ensuring that projects are executed effectively and efficiently. So some of the value I've put down there, and I've underlined the kind of key points in that. Definition, maintenance of the standards. There's development of and documentation of project management processes. There's the methodologies and templates we're providing. We do provide support to teams as well. That could be by way of QA into deliverables. We do coaching, mentoring, and I do have access and sightline then into the resource management pool as well for scheduling. Then there's monitoring and reporting on the performance of the project. Through monitoring and controlling, it can help us identify potential problems early on as risks, apply mitigations, and for any issues, take corrective action as well. So an initiative that within our PMO we're working on at the minute is we're betting a continuous improvement mindset, right? So just recently we have been looking at ways to make the customer journey with Verde more understandable, more efficient, and finding ways to provide our customers with greater certainty in the process and outcome. We took a look at everything right from pre-project through delivery and on to post-project with the approach, the requirements, the messaging, and the materials along the way. And so Verde will be rolling out the refined methods and materials in the coming months, and we do welcome your feedback as you do experience the shift. So on the expectations of the PM, what are you getting with the dedicated PM? Well, the key points are bringing in an experienced, trained, and a well-versed resource who will be responsible as the person on your project for managing all stakeholders, the expectations, the schedule, budget, the risks, and any issues. And that's taken through governance and applying change controls. As I see it, it's your first and best point of contact for everything outside of the detail of config and development. And the PM is the person you're going to be reviewing the project with at our agreed cadence, and your partner in delivery to help manage all aspects of the project. So why are we positioning a dedicated PM to the project? Well, a new system implementation, or perhaps it's a complex integration, it may necessitate a dedicated PM, given, as I say, our understood complexity, the risk, or obviously just the value that the project has. That aside, if you do want, I can work with you as a resource on your project, even if it is smaller, and you can request me based on your risk appetite. You may want to just bump up the cover of the PM that you have, and I can take on additional responsibilities and happy available to help. So with that being said, when we're saying we're positioning a PM, it's all the way from pre-project through delivery and on to embed and closure. So what that means is, right up front from a preparation standpoint, I'm going to be inputting into the LOE, the letter of engagement, the SAL, the statement of work, and of course, I'm going to be right in, the fun part, the thick of it with you, all in the delivery. So in summary, there it's coordination, it's reviewing, tracking, and reporting, and that's across the project progress. It's the RAID items, which are the risks, assumptions, issues, dependencies, considerations, and also the budget and the resource. And of course, any problem solving or escalation that's required to remove blockers and to get executive support. And then seeing things right through, as I said, to embedding and closing. So that's including the benefits realization exercise and getting the correct adoption. We want to make sure you're getting the benefits that you're expecting or you're forecasted to achieve as part of the business case. So we'll look to track that through at the end of the project, and we'll do a PIR, a post-implementation review. And we start to get stakeholder feedback collected as well. That's an important piece. But also we start to look at the measurements around this to see how the investment is tracking. So how will the PM contribute to delivery? Well, the PM will meet often with the project team members, in some cases weekly, else perhaps fortnightly. And the cadence and timing, it's at your discretion. We work with that up front on the kickoff. And we do these check-ins to review and ensure the controls on all project activities, essentially. So I need to be ensuring that there is an adherence to our project process. And, moving forward, that's our Verde adaptation it's the tried and true waterfall methodology process. It's proven, it's successful, and it provides certainty in lowering the risk. And essentially I need to facilitate that alignment in the process. I produce a detailed project plan prior to kickoff, and during kickoff we align on that. We baseline it once we're ready to move forward. We do continuously review it together, so it's a living artifact, and that outlines the key phases, the stages we step through, the key milestones, the deliverables or outputs, and the stage gates, which is the formality process around acceptance. Checkpointing does ensure the project controls. So as I say, the PM owns this and will drive this. Through these, we're ensuring protection to scope. We're looking to give you certainty on timeline and costs. And we want to give you ultimately confidence in the investment and obviously the change process that goes with these projects. So the PM is there to provide certainty and the controls. Also, the PM is responsible for sound problem solving and risk management. We'll mitigate or escalate any issues at a governance level, depending on the size or complexity. There may be a dedicated steering committee, which could meet monthly, for example. There are different ways we can handle this, which we do talk through. But ultimately, I need to create the pathway for a successful outcome and be there to remove any blockers. Right, that's it from me. So I want to say thank you once more for listening to me today. I'm looking forward to meeting you and working with you. Go well. Cheers.
Welcome to a quick overview of the latest updates from MYOB Greentree. New functionality includes the drag and drop functionality, bulk close and finalization of jobs, the new email icon, and the new email templates. Drag and drop functionality. With this new functionality, we can easily attach files to our master files or transaction records by simply dragging and dropping the files. This includes files from your desktop, Windows Explorer, or directly out of Outlook Office 365. A huge benefit of this new functionality is that it reduces the amount of clicks a user has to make, including the convenience of attaching emails or files directly out of Outlook without the need of first saving it into a folder. Let's have a look at what this functionality looks like. I'm now going to show you a quick demonstration of how these drop and drag enhancements look like. On my desktop, at the background, you will see I have a signed terms and conditions file that I would like to attach to my customer. To do this, I'll open my customer. I will simply take the file and drag it onto the attachments icon. You will see how the cursor changes. Once I let go, it tells me that one file had successfully been attached. Click OK. Now just to review, there is my signed terms and conditions. Next, I would like to show you how this works directly from Outlook. Here I have a bank details update for my supplier, which I would like to attach. So I'll open my supplier. I can choose if I want to attach only the attachment directly from Outlook, or I can do the whole email. Again, I will get a notification that a file has been successfully attached. Click on OK. And to review, click on the attachment, and there's my attachment. Please note, you can only attach a file if the program you're dragging it from, example Outlook or Windows Explorer, has either the same administrator rights as Greentree or more comprehensive administrator rights. Next, we will look at closing and finalizing jobs in bulk. With this, we save time by reducing the need to manage jobs one by one. We can select multiple jobs and finalize them at the same time or close them at the same time. Let's have a look at what this looks like. The new bulk close and finalize jobs form can be found by going to Process, Job Cost, Bulk Close and Finalize Jobs. Here we can choose a range of criteria of jobs to see. We can choose if we want to see all jobs, only open jobs, or closed jobs, including date ranges. The closed jobs screen is where we will be closing the jobs. The finalized job screen is where we will be finalizing jobs. And the results screen will show us whether our closing of the jobs or finalizing of the jobs was successful or not. For example, if I want to see Profit Center Warehouse 1 and I want to see Customer 0010, I can select them in my criteria and click on Search Now. These are all the jobs that I have with this customer. I can now in bulk choose which jobs I would like to close by ticking them on the Closed Jobs column. I can also say what the date should be when each job should be closed. Once I'm happy with my selection, I can click on the Close and Open Jobs button. It will tell you that you're about to close 4 jobs and ask you if you would like to continue. Click on OK. You will get taken to the Results tab, where it will show you whether you've succeeded closing the jobs or not. The Finalize Job tab works the same. You choose your criteria and click on Search Now. Now you can choose which jobs you would like to finalize. Say I only want to finalize those 3. Again, you can change the date to what you would like it to be. Once you've chosen your jobs, click on the Finalize Jobs button. It will tell you that you're about to finalize 3 jobs and that this process cannot be reversed. Once again, you'll be taken to the Results tab, showing you whether the finalization of the jobs had succeeded or not. You can also reopen closed jobs by selecting the closed tick box and clicking on Search Now. choose the job that you would like to open. So for example, maybe I accidentally closed this in progress one and I want to reopen it. Simply untick it and select the close and open jobs button again. It will give you a warning, and again the results will update. Another new feature is the new email icon, which can be found on AR invoice, AR receipt, AP invoice entry, AP payment entry, PO purchase order, and HR pay entry. Let's have a quick look at what that looks like. This is just a quick demonstration of the new email icon on an AR invoice. So if I go to AR invoice entry and I choose any invoice, we now have this email icon up here. And if you click it, it will automatically choose output report to email with the customer's default email address already filled in for you. The new email template can be accessed and set up by going to System, System Setup, and here you will see there's a new menu called Email Template Maintenance. As you can see, there are various ways where you can style your email template now. The code and the name is to identify the email template that you are creating. The subject is the subject that will be in the email. And in your body, you can choose whether you want headings, you can change your font size, and all these various options that you normally can see in a Word document. You can also add tables and images. I'm just going to show you one that I've already set up. I've created a AR invoice template using my AR invoice class. This is important because when you want to send out your invoices, you would like this email template to be available to pick. So make sure you set it up using the correct classes. Then to make this email template a bit more personalized, we can add different properties. I've already added some in here, but I'll show you quickly how this works. So say for instance, in my subject, I would like to add my invoice number. I'll put my cursor next to there and I'll go to this add property section and I'll look for reference. Once you find the property that you would like to add in, you can choose if you want to add it into your subject or if you want to add it into the body. I'm doing the subject now. And then for the body, I would like to use the contact that's set up on the customer maintenance form, just so that when they receive it, it's personalized to them. To do this, I'll go to my customer and I'll find the contact property. And I'll add it into the body. I've also down below added the current user. I'll show you how this works. This is if you want to set up these templates and you have multiple users that will be using it. Usually you would want the person that it's coming from to be the person that's sending and not hard copies. To do this, you can go to add property. And in the runtime variable sections, you have different options that you can add. So I want to do the current user and I want to do the user's real name. So I'll insert that into the body. You can choose to have this template as your default template. This is so that every time when you send out invoices, you don't have to manually select which template to use. You can add yourself as the BCC sender when you're using this template. You can add attachments or remove attachments. You also, while setting up your email template, have the ability to test it. So I'll show you how this works. It will automatically add the reply to address or the to address, which is set up under your preference for the user that you are logged in as. So I'll go count that and I'll just show you what the email looks like. And here is the email I received. You can see the invoice number is in there and all the different parameters that I've added in. It's also saying this is from Super, which is the user that I've been logged in. And you can add your own standard signature into your template so it all looks consistent when emailing to customers as well as coming out of Greentree. I'd like to show you another template that I created. This is the sales order template. As you can see, I had to use the SO sales order tab. Again, I want to make this a bit more personal, so I'll add in my order number and as well as the contact. And then just to show you how the imaging work, we can click on this insert picture icon. You can browse to an image that you've saved somewhere. You need to click this embed local image in order for it to show up in the emails. You can have alternative text to display. And this is what my image will look like. You can resize it. Again, you can make it your default and you can test it. I'll just show you what that looks like. And here's my email. Just to show you how this works in practice, I'm going to choose an invoice, just some old one. It's just the demo system. Choose email, enter an email address. When you click on print, this new email template will show up. You can change these. This is where you choose which template you want to use. If you don't want to use your template, you can have none and create a new one. I'll just show you this template. It's automatically populating my details, and then I can send the email. And here is what this looks like. I have my invoice attachment, I have my messaging, and my signature. If you need any help with setting up these templates, please feel free to contact your Verde consultant.
Hello and welcome to this QlikSense demo. What is QlikSense? QlikSense is a web-based BI reporting tool. It integrates to your Greentree system using a mixture of its ODBC data connection and CSV extracts. It can also connect to any other systems that you might have using other data sources such as SQL or the existing ODBC and CSV, and many other connection types. To access QlikSense, we navigate to the QlikSense hub. So what you're seeing on your screen now, this is the QlikSense hub. And the tiles that you see in front of you are called applications. And applications represent data models in Greentree or whatever other application you're using. So that could be a job costing model, it could be a sales model showing AR invoices and credit notes and customers. It could be a sales order model to include sales order data. So it represents a data set to then build reports from. Then on the left-hand side are the streams. So streams are ways of grouping reports together and limiting access to users. So saying a user can only access sales reports or GL reports or so on. So a stream can represent whatever you like, but an example of that are departments or teams. So if I click on my sales team here, so I can click on an application, and when the application opens, you see a list of sheets, and these sheets are like individual reports. So if I drill into a sheet then shows me all of my visualizations. So this is essentially your data model displayed as graphs. And all of these graphs are completely interactive. So if I want to click on this graph and say choose 2018, and I accept that, you can see now my whole report is filtered by the date 2018. And I could then navigate to another sheet, and that filter will also apply to that. So if I wanted to look at a product analysis, then I'd be looking at product sales limited to the year 2018. So I can click on the filter and see, yes, that's been applied here as well. So if I pop back to my sales analysis dashboard, I can then see a breakdown of sales throughout the 2018 year. And QlikSense comes with a whole lot of ready-to-use chart types. So this is a multi-chart that incorporates bars, lines, and dots. Further down, we have bar charts, pie charts. Again, all of these are interactive. So we've got the Americas and the European region, and I can click on this, and again it will filter the rest of my report, but then the pie chart shows product related information just for the European region. And so I want to show you how easy it is to adapt these reports and add things to them. So a power user might decide, okay, there's something missing from this page, and can make a copy of the sheet, of the application. So if I come back to the hub and to my workspace and choose my sheet, I now have it, because I'm in my workspace, I now have an edit sheet option. So I can press this, and it means that I can make changes to any of these visualizations. So I want to add a new combo chart to this sheet. So I can extend the sheet to give me some blank space. And then on the left-hand side, I have a palette of tools. So I want to have a look at what charts are available. So these are all of the charts that come with the QlikSense product. So I'm going to choose a combo chart, and I just drag it down onto the sheet, and I can resize it to fit the space. And then I can add data fields to it. So my bars are going to be the date. So I'm going to have year, month, drill down. So it'll display totals by year, and then you can drill down and see month information. And my measures are going to be sales. And then I also want to see cost of sales, so cost of goods sold. I also want that to be a bar, so I can click on this, choose more properties, and choose the presentation, and I want it to be a bar, and I want it to be part of the primary axis, which is on the left hand side here, so in millions. And then I can exit that. And then I also want to display margin. So let's go with margin percentage. And I'm going to go more properties on that. And I want it to display as a marker. And I want it to run off the secondary axis, so you can see a percentage on the right hand side on the secondary axis there. And I want it to be a diamond. And there it is, that's my new chart. added to this sheet. And when I've finished editing, I can click Done. And I can see straight away I can use it, so I can click on 2018 and all my filters and everything for the rest of the sheet continue to work. And I decide I'm happy with that, and I can come back to the QlikSense hub, and I can choose to publish that and make that available to everyone straight away. So I can choose my stream, and I can say it's the sales team, and I can publish, and it's published straight away as my ABC Sales Dashboard demo, and everyone can use that. So QlikSense also allows you to do presentation reporting. So that might be a board reporting pack, or it could be like a team monthly meeting that where you review KPIs and things like that. So it's called the storytelling feature. So at the top here, if I click storytelling, it's kind of like a PowerPoint presentation. So the storytelling feature allows you to take snapshots of different visualizations from different reports and add them to this presentation screen, and add key talking points and pictures. So we've flagged to talk about men's footwear, and adding text to the visualization. So if I pop back into my sheet, I can find a visualization. So I say this chart again, and I can find a particular month, say, and then I can mouse click on the visualization and say storytelling snapshots, take a snapshot, and give it a name. Save. And then that's in my snapshot repository, ready to add to my storytelling report. And I can do the same with other things further down. So I can click on the Americas, North America, and then right mouse click, storytelling, take snapshot. North American sales share 2018 Feb. Save. And then I can go back into my storytelling, and I can find a blank sheet, and I can click on pictures, media objects, and these are some of the snips that I took. Sorry, these are images that have been uploaded, but if I come back to the snapshot library, then these are the snapshots that I took, and I can just drag and drop these into the slide. Drag and drop. And then I can add text as well. Say items for discussion. Some of the pages can be live data as well. So this is a This is a whole sheet from the product overview tab, and I can choose to reload. And then when I've finished editing, I can play the story. So straight from QlikSense, you can display your story presentations. And at the end of it, you can export the presentation to PowerPoint or export to PDF, and you can distribute it to your team. So that was a very, very brief overview of some of the capabilities of QlikSense. If you have any questions, please contact your consultant. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to this overview of the forecasting app, or Cashflow forecasting app. Right, so the objective of this app was to set out to create an ERP integrated real-time tool for financial and cash flow forecasting. Okay, so merge both forecast and actuals, and I'll go on about this quite a bit. We want to leverage the value of the actual information we have plus the budget data we have, and use actuals to enhance the forecast in terms of timing. Objective is minimum setup and the ability to run real time. So the real key thing here is real time. So cash flow inquiry, just to give you a taste of what it looks like. Please ignore the dates. The time frame is irrelevant. It's the content of the system that ultimately drives this. But you've got two ways of viewing the data, as a tabular information or as a graph. And I suspect most people will find the tabular information most useful. Importantly, point out a couple of salient issues. Export to Excel, which I'll cover in a little bit detail further on. It has cases, so you can have different scenarios, and can support multiple bank accounts. And obviously it is based on a balanced statement, or an imported statement that's up to date. Other salient issues, it's not just monthly, weekly or daily. And so when we look at what is actually driving the forecast, now we've got actuals. Actuals are great because actual invoices, actual purchase orders, actual purchase order receipts, actual sales orders, actual sales order, packing slips, and potentially sales orders on back order, and even eDocs, unreconciled receipts. These are all actual transactions that have time associated with them. They have an expected due date. So those are easy. We can look at those pieces of information, and that will give us a good short-term cash flow forecast, but actuals rapidly peter out into the future. Obviously, as we have fewer and fewer sales orders, we have no AR invoices, we might have POs and PO receipts, so we might have greater future visibility of our purchasing behavior because we purchase further out depending on lead time. But if we want to get long-term forecast, cash flow forecast position beyond the next month or month and a half, we also want to include budgets. And so this tool lets you say, okay, which geocodes do I want to include, hence which budgets am I going to include? It also lets us apply profiles to budgets. That's how we should use the budget. Should we, for this GL account, have actuals consume the budget? So our budget decreases as actual transactions start occurring in the period. Potentially, should we consume the year-to-date budget based on year-to-date actuals? So a good example would be, say, a CapEx budget. we have 1.2 million, a mysterious $100,000 a year. But when we're forecasting, we want to go, right, I actually have just spent $500,000 actual of my 1.2 million. So I'm not actually going to get $100,000 per year per month to spend for the rest of the year. I'm actually only going to get $500,000, and that might then be distributed monthly. Or you may actually choose not to handle that through a GL, and you might want to use manual transactions to say, okay, I know I'm going to have $250,000 in January as capex, 250,000 in May, and $500,000 in August. So we have several ways of handling it. But yes, we've got budget data coming in from the GLs, and then we've got our actual transactions, receipts, payments, and we'll actually have manual transactions, we'll show on another slide. The other thing also point out is when you're looking at the actual cells in the workbench, you're getting to see the transactions that make up that cell, that amount, and you'll notice there is a forecast date. Okay, this is quite important. So we've got original value, due date, the date where the customer is due to pay, but then also we've got profiling on customers to say, when does this customer actually pay based on history? They always pay the last day of the month, the last working day of the month, for example. So that behavior will drive when the actual cash flow, because just saying, well, they're due on the 20th is probably wishful thinking if they always pay on the 5th day following the end of the month. So we can see transactions that make up these individual things. And interesting enough, we can actually even edit this forecast date. So we can say, yep, we've had a hard word to them and they're going to pay that on the 31st of December rather than the 11th of January. And we can change that, and that will reflect in our cash flow. So it can be used as a credit control tool as well. And one of the things I was saying, I started off talking about daily, weekly, monthly. We can do it in buckets. The reason with the budgets we can do it in daily, weekly, and monthly periods is we can apply profiles. We can look at historically when transactions happened each day during the month, and then apply a profile to a budget amount, and therefore be able to see when is our cash going to happen daily, weekly, or monthly. Now that may become less critical well out in the future because it'll become less accurate, but at least it'll show where there are potential pinch points, and maybe payments will want to be deferred if receipts are not going to happen and cash flows squeezed. So obviously, again, actual transactions is the critical thing here. So just talking about, I've sort of looked at some pictures, just want to pitch again the features and benefits, live and up to date. So you don't have to extract data, manipulate Excel to get an answer. You can get change transactions, get an answer. You can leverage actuals and budgets, and you can leverage customer behavior to indicate this customer pays here, or for this GL account, these are when the transactions happen during the month. So we can profile not just in a monthly buckets, but weekly or daily buckets. Okay, I've talked about transaction forecast dates based on the customer. You can split transactions. You can say this customer owes me 50,000, and they've said they're going to pay 25,000 on the 20th next month and 25,000 on the end of the following month. If that's the payment term, can apply those as split transactions, and it will reflect in your cash flow. You can add manual transactions, maybe capexes, maybe bonus payments that you haven't budgeted for some reason, you want to include in there. You can do some foreign currency adjustments. You can manage your unapplied transactions. I've talked about applying profiles to budgets. You can have specific geo-specific forecast rules. So as I said, you can apply, say, budget, month to date budget is consumed to month to actual, or maybe year to date budget is consumed to year to date actual by year to date actual, or maybe this cost driver is 5% of revenue. So we're not going to look at budget. We're actually going to look at we're just going to drive it straight off our sales GL. I'm going to say this is going to be 5% of that, and that's going to be the charge or the cash cost. It supports scenarios. So that's where you see this base case. Just a compacted view of the same workbench. So opening balance plus receipts minus payments plus transfers minus menu items. So tax consideration, net movement, and where your actual position is relative to your bank overdraft. Oops. And again, I've talked weekday, month. Cash flow inquiry, I've talked about that. Forecast customer invoices. So you can see within the customer what their forecast position is when things are being forecasted to be paid so that they can be edited. So viewable data is both in the forecast workbench but also against the customer record. Export to Excel, monthly, weekly, daily, weekly. You might only be looking at it in a monthly summary, but you still want to export to weekly. You've got some opportunities to include, exclude. And most importantly, you can export to Excel. Profiling, as I've talked, the opportunity to do a cash profile, look at an account and look at how it historically has behaved. So, yep, first of the month, 15%. Last work day of the month, 15%, but you can choose to use 17%. Okay, 24th, 1.04. So you can decide how to profile and then apply that profile. And then you can change how, maybe I know my credit control has been improving. So I might decide start off a 24-month period, but now I'm going, actually the last 6 months our profile has significantly improved. I want to now use my 6-month profile and calculate that, use that profile. So it's this whole leveraging history to drive the forecasting. Special terms, this is more around splitting. So you've gone and split payments. Maybe it's a $100,000 deal and you want to do 50,000 now, 25,000, 25,000. You can split. This is on AP, but equally on AR, which means it's more sensible, reflects more sensibly into your cash flow when you are actually going to pay or receive money. And then finally, this is more specific around rules. What if scenarios? So you can apply multiple scenarios, and these might affect some segments of the cash flow forecast, or but are effectively cumulative. So sales down 10%, you've got a base case, and you've got unforecast customer receipts. So if you exclude them, you can look at what's the consequence of doing that. What's the consequence of excluding my CapEx spend on this cash flow forecast?
Hi everyone and welcome along. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of a few new apps that we've developed recently within the Apps for Greentree framework. So the first two are nice little add-ons for the Greentree Alerts and Approvals module. So these are intended to be used in conjunction with A&A rules. Each of them provides a new mapping table which your A&A rules could then do a lookup on to determine what action they need to take. So instead of having all of the settings and mapping specified within the rules, you could instead define them within one of these new tables, which makes them really easy for you to maintain yourselves. So the first one we'll have a look at is the email address to team matrix. I'll click the change button on that one there. So This one was developed with eDocs in mind as a method of mapping senders' email addresses with specific Greentree users or teams. In that particular case, it was purchase order requests that were being emailed into a centralized ordering team, and then based on who the sender was, each eDoc PO would be automatically assigned to the correct team for processing. So in this table here, the email address field is just a free text field. So I can type in anything I like there, and then both the user and the user group are lookup fields to CRM users and or CRM teams. So this table could actually be used to map any text string with a user or a team. It doesn't necessarily have to be an email address, and what you do with the user or the group that you're mapping to is entirely up to what you put in the rule. So it's not limited to eDocs by any means, but another idea might be to use it for automatically assigning eDoc invoices to the relevant accounts payable person. That might be based on something that's been scraped off the invoice, or even a property from the supplier. So maybe you have a tree set up on your suppliers for the members of your accounts payable team, and then based on the supplier matching, the eDoc could be automatically assigned to the relevant user. I don't know, just one idea. So it really does have a wide range of potential applications, and it's only just been released, so it will be interesting to see what other scenarios we can utilize this one for. All right, moving on to the second one I'm going to show you is this approval tree matrix. So I'll click on the little change button while I talk to it. So it's another app that follows along with the same theme in that it consists of a new table that then gets looked up from your ANA rules. So this one is based around trees and allows you to map tree branches and dollar value limits with approval codes. So if you envisage perhaps purchase orders and AP invoice approvals, and they're being coded to JC lines. So your rule would look up in this table based on the job and the value of the specific transaction, and would be passed back the correct approval code to use. So in my example here, I've got a job tree named expense type, and I would make sure that all of the tree branches in that tree have been mapped to an approval code within my table. And of course, making sure that I cover all the potential dollar values. So you can see some different examples here where different people have got different limits for different tree branches. So it's a really nice screen to have because things like approval limits do tend to change over time. We might set up new cost centers or areas of responsibility change within your team. So by putting all of that information into a table like this, it just makes it really easy to maintain. You don't need to change your ANA rules every time there's a change within your business. And another nice little benefit of it is that being a table, you can just send it to Excel to get a really quick little report to check what your current configuration is. All right, the third one I'm going to have a look at also relates to Greentree approvals. more specifically, how you can ensure that there is cover in place when an approver goes on leave. So this is a scenario that we often receive calls about when someone's headed off to the beach and all of a sudden the AP team realise that there's a whole bunch of invoices due to be paid and they're still waiting approval by old Bob on the beach. So let's assume that Bob doesn't want to get out his laptop and approve invoices while he's sipping his margarita on the beach. So what Bob needs is a delegate. And a delegate is somebody with sufficient authority, obviously, who can approve Bob's invoices until he enjoys his holiday. Now, those of you who are using approvals already probably know that delegate functionality is already standard in Greentree, but someone needs to remember to assign the delegate as Bob's walking out the door and to remember to remove them again when he gets back. There's also no way of tracking retrospectively who had that authority at what point in time and who gave it to them. So we developed this app as a way of scheduling the start and end times and dates when an approver is going to be out of the office and who their approval delegate should be during that time. So you could set this up in advance, perhaps when Bob submits his leave request maybe. And then once it's set up, you can forget all about it because you know that the system will take care of adding and removing the delegate at the appropriate times. So to show you what it looks like, if I'm logged in as a user who has the app enabled, then I can set up my own delegate. Alternatively, if you prefer to manage that functionality centrally, then someone who has access to user maintenance will be able to schedule the delegates on behalf of any of your approvers. So as an approver who has access to the app, I'm able to go to File Preferences and I can see this new tab headed Out of Office. Pretty basic looking table. I choose what day I'm going off on leave, so it might be 5 p.m. on Friday, and let's say I'm returning on Monday morning of the 26th, and I'm going to get in about 8 a.m. And I'm going to choose April as my delegate while I'm away. So that's all I need to do, start and finish times, choose my delegate and click OK. And then the system will automatically at 5 p.m. on the 2nd of February will add April to my delegates and she'll be removed again on the Monday morning that I'm coming back. So that'll all happen in the background by way of a scheduled task and I can set and forget basically.
Good morning. My topic this morning is the Apps for Greentree app for the grouping of trees and UDFs on the Custom tab of Jobs and Inventory Items. This is a job costing custom tab, and as you can see there are several trees and UDFs for jobs. Users can enter as many of these as they like, and if you add too many they will go down beyond the screen space and we'll have to scroll backwards and forwards to see them. If you have people from different departments wanting to view only some of these, having extra ones in there could be quite confusing. The solution is to have a number of groups where the user can select which group of these trees and UDFs they want to view. So on the Trees tab, we have a group box, and at the moment it's showing all, which is the default. However, if you select the drop down, and for example the accountant may only want to see these, the sales manager may want to only see those, but the production planner wants to see all of those because he's interested in all of the stages of production. So how is this done? When we go to Apps for Greentree, Apps Module Control, we find App 010185 and click the Change button. We enter a name, and I've entered 3 names there: Accountant, Production Planner, Sales Manager. Enter anything you like. But for the accountant, you select which module as well. You can have job costing and inventory, but they present different trees and UDFs, of course. And then we just tick the trees and the UDFs that are applicable for this group and save. It's as simple as that. As many groups can be added as you like.
This is a demonstration of the Master GL app available for Greentree via the Apps for Greentree store or via your consultant. The Master GL app is designed, as it says, to synchronize GL across companies. So it's applicable for customers who operate multiple companies, and effectively want to have one master chart of account and then synchronize that chart of account across multiple companies. This app doesn't force you to only create GLs in the master and push them to the servant accounts. You could in servant accounts, you could in non-master dedicated general ledger accounts, but the logic here is to say, well, no, we're going to create all our GL accounts in a master company, and then we'll push those GL accounts out. Because of the multi-segment approach that Greentree has, the star, the 10-10-1000 type approach, multi-segment, effectively every single GL account that you want to synchronize needs to exist in the master company. So that's just some thought that needs to be applied. So in this case, so in terms of the app, we just have to define what the master company is, some recipients for error messaging when a script runs, and also the ability to define groups of companies, because you, instead of having to select, hey, I want this GL account to sync to one of my 50 companies or one of my 10 companies, you might have groups of companies. So you might have transport companies and forestry companies. So you might say, okay, for my transport companies, which are these 4 companies, I'm going to create a group, and these forestry companies, I'm going to create a group. So then when you set up a forestry related GL code, you might only choose to sync it to the group of forestry companies. That doesn't preclude you from doing multiple groups, or in fact, say, choosing the forestry company group and then 2 other companies that are not forestry company groups. So it's just trying to make it easier to sync the right accounts to the right companies. So that's the app. Now let's dive in and have a look at it in action. Just get out the GL account, GL ledger. Now this is my company 06, which is my master. I'm going to go to 10-10-1000. And in your master company, you will get a master GL tab, and this is where you say, for this 10-10-1000, these are the companies I want to synchronize it to. So I'm going to synchronize it to the Australian company, to Keith's company, and to all of the companies that are in the ANZAC group. And there's a script that can be run called the master GL sync script, and that script triggers the syncing. And it will sync all of the properties of the master company to the child. So in this case, we've got software income in the two companies. If I change this to Bob, the expectation once the sync happens is that will become Bob. Now it'll also sync trees that are common. So if the tree is in the master and the servant, it will sync it. It only syncs the ones that are there, and it syncs blanks. So if I set one of these to blank, or unselected it, it would push a blank or unselect to all the synced servant accounts. And equally, if I change one of these values, like 15 software to say 13 miscellaneous, it's going to change that. If I change this to 12, it's going to change old to 12. And it also syncs transaction trees and transaction UDFs. And it will sync everything else, all the other properties. So it means that you can enforce reliability to make sure an account is behaving the same way. I just note though, if someone had set up 1010-1000 in the master and also 1010-1000 in the servant company, but this was for some different reason, was some other had been used for another purpose. That what will happen when it syncs is it will apply the master settings to the servant. So you have to be wary with your setup initially to make sure you haven't got any rogue accounts or someone's been setting up accounts which are then synced. So just a note also on the master GL, you've got ticking that enables the master, and ticking sync means this account is ready to sync. So if you did that, left it unticked, this account is a master, but it won't be synced, which means you can create an account, set it all up, but decide, I just need some more information, blah, blah, blah. You get all the other information, then you press the sync button, tick the sync, so it's really available for sync, and then periodically, nightly say, but can be more often, the master GL sync script can be run on schedule, doesn't have to run automatically, and that will go away and update the accounts. So if I go and find this again, this is now software Bob, matches software Bob, custom. You'll notice that was 15, it's now 13. That was 1, 2, 3, 4 or something, and now it's 12. So this is basically what it's doing, it's syncing. And so if at a later stage you want to sync it to another account, you tick it, save it, and it will then either update the GL account in Company 5, for example, if it doesn't, if it already exists. If the GL account doesn't exist, then it will create that GL account and populate the data that it can based on the trees or UDFs that are available for that company. And that is essentially what this app does.
Welcome to the introduction of Query Designer. In this session, I will do a brief overview of Query Designer and how it can be used. The Query Designer tool was released in the 2019.3.0 Greentree version, and it's primarily used for ad hoc reports, but it can also be used for reporting on an ongoing basis. I've made a list of the key features of Query Designer, and these include drag and drop functionality, customizable results, export options, efficiency, enhanced security, and flexibility. The benefits include versatility. Whether your queries are simple or complicated, this tool makes reporting on different aspects of data so much easier than, for example, writing a report. If you need to report on data that does not exist in a field in Greentree, like a calculated field, our developers can, for example, write a dynamic property, which can be included in these queries. This means, for example, you don't have to export the data to Excel to manually add up figures. Time efficiency. Most queries are fast and give instantaneous results, depending on the class you are reporting on, and this contributes to improved time efficiency. Security. Security features allows you to control who has access to the information. If a user happens to have access to a query that reports on an area that the user does not have access to, for example, HR, then the query results will be blank, honoring the settings that the user should not have access to HR data. The Query Designer menus can be found under System, Utilities, Query Designer, Here you can see we have Query Builder, View Builder, Results Viewer, ODBC Exposure, and Query Design Manager. I'm going to start off with Query Builder and View Builder. The Query Builder section is where we define our parameters. So we're telling the query we want to see this company or these dates or these items. The View Builder is where we define the results that we want to see. For example, all the columns that you want to see: company code, customer name, stock items, etc. Before you start building your query, you first need to define what class you will be using. If you're not sure what this class is, you can check this for Inspector. For example, if I want to report on inventory items, I'll open an inventory item and I'll click on the Inspector icon. This will tell me what class I need to use. I'm going to show you a query that I've built earlier today. Currently, I have two parameters defined. I'm saying my document date should be after or equal the 1st of February 2020, and my document date should be before or equal the 28th of February 2024. On the Parameters tab, we can define parameters. At the moment, these dates are now hard-coded into this query. So if a user runs this query, then these dates will be set and they cannot change it. If we want to add the flexibility for the user to choose their own dates, we will create parameters, which I will show you a little later. The Preview tab is handy to use when you are writing your query and you want to check if the data that you have selected is correct. For example, you've chosen the correct fields and it is reporting valid data. I've also already written the view for this query that I would like to show you. On the data view is where we define our columns. The display heading area is where you can change the headings to something that makes more sense to you if the system's default heading isn't accurate. The sorting tab is where we can decide what we would like the data to be sorted on. For example, once you've selected your data view and you go to your sorting area, the view column section becomes available. These are all the fields that you have defined in your data view that you can use to sort on. So say I would like to sort on my reference. Then I would choose the reference one. Here you can say, do you want to sort it smallest to largest or largest to smallest? If you select not sorted, it would remove the sorting completely. Once you've selected the sorting, you can preview the data again to see what it looks like. As you can see, the results are pretty instant. Say for instance, I'm not interested in seeing company 07's results and I would only like to see company 6 and company 2. We can build this into our Query Builder parameter section. I want to make this a OR, so I'm going to say add a subgroup. Take that bit away. And say my company code is equal to 06, or my company code is equal to 02. Then I can preview the results. Now you can see all company 07 stuff has been filtered out. Perhaps I would also like to have totals. This can be done in the View Builder. The total functions gives you this option. You can choose if you want to see the earliest or the latest on document dates. Or on the totals, we can choose the total, the average, minimum, or maximum. I'm just going to do totals. Now I'm going to preview my results again. And there we can see the totals. The naming of the totals is going to get quite confusing as we're not sure what this is for. So we can change the naming in here. But say, for instance, I also want to see the quantity of the stock that I've sold. I can add a quantity field in here. You can move it up and down to say in which position you would like to put it. And add a total. Here we can see our totals and all the data that we've reported on. I will now show you how to add the parameters. Back on the query builder, we go to the parameter section. We first need to decide what the parameter's name will be. Because we want the flexibility of the date, I'm going to make the parameters document date from and document date to. I also need to say what sort of field this is. These fields here will be used as the default. If I enter a date in here and a user runs this query, then those will be the default dates that they will see, but they will also be able to change them. To add these parameters to your query section, you will go to your query and go to the parameter section on the right-hand side. Here are your document date from and your document to fields that you have created. When you add it to your query selection, you need to make sure to put it right next to this icon over here, like so. Now your system will be using these parameters that you have set up. And save. Now when you run the query, you will get a pop-up asking you to confirm the date range you would like to see. So if I don't want to see until the end of March, I can change this to the 29th of February. I'm now going to talk about Results Viewer. Results Viewer is used when a user do not have access to Query Designer and View Builder, but you would like them to be able to see the results of a query. You would give them access to this form. Here they can choose the class and the view and the query. Again, if they don't have access to inventory items and they try to run this, for example, the results will just be blank. They can choose if they want to see the first 1,000 data lines. This is unfortunately hard-coded at this moment, but if they want to see more, they can simply untick that and click on Run. They will get asked for the dates, and then they can see the data. Data can be exported to XML, HTML, CSV, or text, or you can copy it to your clipboard and paste it into Excel, or alternatively, you can output the contents into a file. Please be aware when you export this data, the totals will not be included. I'm now going to talk about the next section, which is ODBC exposure. ODBC can be used to access Greentree data using SQL queries and tools that have ODBC connections. Those tools can be Excel, MS Access, QlikView, or QlikSense. Query Designer allows you to expose the views and queries you created to ODBC. Here is a quick example of one that had been set up. I'm not going to delve any further into ODBC queries other than showing that it is possible to expose them to ODBC. The next form is Query Designer Manager. This is useful for when you, for example, had created a query and a view in your test system and you are ready to move it to live. In here, you can see all the queries that have been created. You can see who had created or modified them, and you can see when they did that. You can select multiple queries and export them, or you can also import multiple queries using this Query Designer Manager form. The last bit that I want to show you is how to add a query to a workflow desktop. In your desktop that you create, you simply need to select the query in your toolbox and add it in there. You can give it a name. In here, you can define your base class, which is the same class that you use to create your query. Once you've chosen your class, the relevant views will show up, as well as the queries. You can allow the parameter dialog box, which would be necessary for our query as we have dates in there. We also have a refresh button that you can make available, as well as the update in real time, which would be quite handy. Now I have my stock on my desktop. As discussed, you have the refresh button, which is if you want to reload the data. I can now load this desktop. I will get asked for the parameter dates, and now I can see the data on my desktop. I can right-click on the columns and launch the table contents to the various files. I can send it to the clipboard, or I can send the contents to a file. I can choose display parameters if I can't remember what parameters I had chosen. If I choose to rerun the query and change my parameters, say I only want to see January. And I load. Now it's only showing my January documents. I can right-click and select Save Parameters. Now it will remember these for next time when I load my desktop. And it's remembered that I chose only January. This concludes the overview of Query Designer. If you have any questions, feel free to contact your consultant at Verde to help and assist with any queries you would like to get written.
Welcome to this presentation on Webview financial reportings, or document and library financial reporting. Several names for the same product. So essentially, Webview financial reporting is essentially, as it suggests, it is an in Greentree financial reporting tool to provide reports, P&L, statements, cash flow, and this is non-forecast cash flow, but cash flow reports. So your standard monthly reports. Now these are reports that traditionally are either done using Excel and the Excel free add-in, or alternatively by exporting transactions to Excel or to other applications to create your profit and loss, your statements, etc., your monthly financial reports. So the question then is why Webview financial reporting, and the fundamental reason, when you run the reports, it is the data at that point in time based on the period selected. So you can run a profit and loss as of the end of January 2024, or you can run one for the end of July 2023. So you can run all your historicals, you can run your currents. You can also have a suite of different reports. So base profit and loss, which might be month to date, year to date variance. You could do month to date, actual month to date budget, month to date, same period last year, year to date, same last year. So you can do a year on year, month on month, quarter by quarter reporting. You can also do month by month reporting within the same P&L. So you could have a effectively 12 months actual budget. So you can have January, February, March. If we look at actually a good point, actual budget report. And excuse the timing, but effectively we're running to July. So it's actual April, May, June, July, and then budgets for the balance of the year. And then we can say, what's my a year-end forecast, which is my sum of actuals, and then actuals up to my period, and then budgets for the balance of the year. And if the report is set up appropriately, you can change which budget you use. So you could have multiple budgets. You could have your budget you set at the beginning of the year, and then your revised budget for this year, and therefore you could look at how you are performing actual to budget as of the beginning of the year versus the current forecast. And you could also even compare actuals to the original budget and to your reforecast budget. So you can do lots of things in terms of constructing the reports. The other nice feature, generally, and when we build in these reports, profit and loss is the simplest one. We have a series of rows which define, the data that we want to present as rows, and generally, sales, cost of sales, gross profit, blah blah blah, all the way down to EBITDA. It's all driven on trees. So it's self-constructing. So similar to if you built a free report, you would potentially have your trees, or even worse, you'd have your individual GLs. This is much nicer because I've got a sales GL. I've got a GL tree with sales and then hardware income, and these GL codes belong to hardware income. So if I add a new GL code and I assign it to hardware income, it will automatically appear in this report. And if we construct the trees correctly, then all of this is self-aggregating. Gross profit is the sum of everything in the sales tree branch and everything in the cost of sales tree branch. So there's no risk. And by making the GL tree mandatory, we ensure that any GL code that's added gets into the report. You add it to the wrong tree, you add an expense GL code to admin costs, so cost of sale GL code to an admin cost, it'll appear in admin. So your results will be incorrect, but will be systemically correct. The risk, obviously, with Excel is you add a new GL code and you don't include it in your report, and then your results are not correct, and you could go away and find them. So this is really nice from the point of view, someone adds a new GL code, they have to assign it to a tree, to the GL reporting tree. It will get into the report. So a few other things. Obviously, I've said actual budget, your more traditional year-on-year reports, which are month to date, budget year to date. You can do rolling 13-month reports, and you'll notice everything is relative to the date. So I'm just going to go back to that actual budget report and change the previous period. I'm going to re-choose that because it forces me. You'll notice now it's gone April, May, June as the actuals only run up to April, May, June. So you could actually see how things had changed if you were comparing what was the result from last month to the result this month, and how further out have we got. Now, another really salient feature of Webview financial reports is company structure. So one of the things, company security. One of the features of Webview Financials, it can be run in Greentree if you've got the appropriate licensing. It can also be run in Webview. So super useful where you have a profit and loss report that you use over the whole company, and maybe you've got multiple companies or multiple branches, and you want people to get reporting. Traditionally, what will happen is the accountants will go and run the financial reports and then distribute them at the end of the month. That means everyone's waiting to the third or fourth day of the following month to get their reports so they can start making their excuses for performance or claiming why they were so successful. So here you have an opportunity for people, the end user or the profit center or cost center responsible person, to actually be able to run their reports. They could start running them. They could run them any day of the month all the way through the end of the month until you actually say, yep, this is the final results. But essentially it means that if I'm a manager of a branch, I might be assigned, in this case it's multi-company, so this report is, say I'm responsible for New Zealand, we can specifically assign someone to have access to New Zealand only. And New Zealand will be, in this case, maybe star company one, say New Zealand's company one. I run that report, but because I'm not allowed Australia, I can't run Australia or Canada or USA, and I can't see all companies. So we can use the same report over and over again, but restrict who uses it by using a mask. And because I'm running it in New Zealand, in this case, we can actually check with in this case, 1010, 250. Now, potentially if I run that for Australia, if I had access to Australia, okay, in this case, there is nothing, super not useful. But essentially, if there was an Australian restriction or another company restriction, we would see other companies. This is all company 06, but in this case, access to 10, 20, 30. But so actually, if I go to actual, actually, let's go to that one, because this one's got an all branches. So in this case, say I want to only run North Island, and I only had access to Lower North Island, then I'm going to get the accounts 20 and 30. But if I had access to all branches, I'm going to get 10, 20, 30, and I might actually get some more. So I've got 10, 20, 30. So this means you can use the same report, but present it to a distinct audience. Now, it's also possible to schedule these reports to run, for example, overnight, and then email users with a Excel attachment, and potentially an Excel attachment with a tab for every single branch that the user has access to. We can also export this to Excel. Now ignore the fact that we haven't got, this is not a licensed copy. So essentially we can pretty this up. So you can actually generate it in Webview Financials, export it to Excel, potentially make some annotation, and then include it in a board report, etc. The other thing is, this product is available via Webview. So a user who doesn't have full Greentree access, so can't access it through Greentree, potentially will have access to financial reports through Webview, and so they don't need full licensing, and can be allocated specific reports. So you don't have to give access to every report. You might have someone who is only able to see month's actual budget, and that's all they can run. or maybe they've got, and also they might only be limited to New Zealand. So if they were only limited to New Zealand, that's the only option they'd have. And other than that, the functionality is all the same. There are a few other little tips and tricks. You can effectively add notes to lines. The other thing that's also important is you can drill through to the transactions if there are transactions. Now, just one note, these lines having zero value across them, which you go back to the Greentree version, the lines with zero values, we can actually hide as a selection any line or any GL code that doesn't contribute to this report, which means if you've got hundreds of GL codes but only a few are transacting for this person, you've got a person who's only responsible for a few lines of GLs and one segment of the GL, but has few actual transactions going through there. We can limit it so they only see them. And for those who think, what about payroll? We can prevent certain lines being drillable to show the detail. Because what you can also do, where you've got a value, so let's go to operating expense, go to direct wages, nice, and we go to wages, we can drill into the transactions that actually look at the things that make up these transactions. There we go, sorry. I was clicking on a variance, that's why I was getting upset. So in this case, I'm getting a balance. So I double clicked on the record. I can see the balances, but I can actually see the transactions that make up that 2,132. And then if I've got access, I could actually drill into that payroll record. So payroll is probably not a good example, but repair and maintenance similarly. So there's this nice ability to drill, and you can also add notes to a field. So, and there's actually a number of other tools, which I won't go through, which also help manage keeping copies of reports and files, so you can actually save them as PDFs to Greentree. So I hope that's a useful introduction to Webview financial reports.
At Verde, we will continue our investment in further enhancing MYOB Greentree through our Apps for Greentree framework. And this is just a reminder that apps can be purchased individually, or we also have the premium pack available, which gives you access to over 60 of our original apps, all for one price. You can use as many or as few as you need from the pack. If you already have several apps, it's worth checking to see if the premium pack would be a cost benefit to you rather than paying for each individual app. Information on all our apps is available on our website, appsforgreentree.com, and please reach out to your consultant should you like to review your current app usage.
Let's have a look at a couple of our more popular apps on the premium pack. The first one is the View and Modify GL Journals app. This gives you the GL button on any transactions where a GL journal was created. If I click on this button, I can see the postings that were generated as part of this invoice. We also have the ability to modify journals on here. So if, for example, this was coded to the wrong place, I can right-click, create a recode journal, enter the correct code, change the date if needed, if the period is closed, and enter a reason. Once I click Create Journal, you get the journal number that was created as part of this, and you also get a plus symbol to show you where it was recoded to and by who and when. Although this means that you no longer have to print the batch edit listing, you can still do this by clicking the print button in preview. It's just easier to do it this way. We can also, from the customer, use the Email Print Invoices button to email copy invoices to customers. Highlight the ones that you want to email, click the email button. This is a test system, but it will still email for me. And now those emails have been sent off. From here, if you also have the email tracker, you can click here and search for any emails that have been sent out to the customers. It will tell you how many attachments there were, and you can double click and view the email and those attachments.
Here's a list of our most popular apps that are featured in the premium pack. First up, we have the User Preferences and Security Snapshot tool, also known as App 10011. This tool allows you to take a snapshot of your system's user security and preferences and compare it to a previous snapshot. It's incredibly useful, especially for audit security requests. Plus, you can export the data to Excel for further analysis. Next, we have the Copy User Preferences and Menu Security tool, or App 10017. With this tool, you can easily copy users and menu security from one user to another, including across all companies. It even includes a convenient table view to update menu security for all users in all companies at once. Moving on to App 10040 Audit Logging. This tool adds logging to various maintenance forms, recording every change made, what it was, and by whom. It's like having a built-in watchdog for your system, providing valuable insights and accountability. Plus, it comes with an audit report for easy reference. We also have a workflow rule menu exposure tool, also known as App 10164. This tool allows rules written under the workflow module to be added to a menu, eliminating the need to give users direct access to rule maintenance. It's perfect for custom imports or other scripts that need to be manually run. The Posting Period Audit app, also known as App 10151, this handy tool allows you to keep track of when financial periods were closed or opened, along with the user responsible for each action. It's perfect for maintaining transparency and accountability in your financial process. Next, we have the Bank Interface Receipts tool, or App 10144. This tool simplifies the process of importing bank statement files and generating receipts for customers. What's more, it can even attempt to match receipts to outstanding invoices, saving you time and effort in manual reconciliation tasks. Moving on to App 3003, Webview Form Columns. This nifty tool allows you to display Webview queries across the page rather than just under each other. This means you can fit more information on a single page without having to scroll endlessly. It's all about maximizing efficiency and usability. Last but certainly not least, we have the PO Clearing Report tool, also known as App 10173. This tool allows you to print a PO Clearing Report as of a specific date, rather than just the current date. It's incredibly useful for month-end reconciliations, providing you with accurate and timely insights into your purchasing activities. In addition to apps, we also write specialized customizations, a lot of which are available in product if you have Verde add-ons. Here are three of the most popular. Our first tool is Verde Cancel Receipts. This tool comes in handy when dealing with dishonored AR receipts. With just a few clicks, you can cancel these receipts and automatically add AR journals to reinstate the invoice, ensuring the aging of the invoice is properly reinstated. It's a seamless solution for managing dishonored payments. Next up, we have Verde Receipt Reversal. This tool is incredibly useful when you need to reverse PO receipts due to scenarios such as missing supplier invoices or enormous additions. It effectively reverses the GL postings on the original PO receipt, helping you maintain accurate financial records with ease. Last but not least, we have Verde Job Transaction Entry. This tool simplifies the process of adding various transaction types to a job. Whether it is transferring inventory to a job, adding timesheet lines, or recording job activities from a plant item, this tool allows you to do it all from a single interface. Plus, it's also available as an app for added convenience.
The Windows Designer module is a free module that was added by MYOB some time ago. It allows you to move fields around on forms and between tabs, etc., and is available to all users, but you may wish to limit it to system administrator or super users. You can check access from user preferences on the Access tab. What has been added more recently is the ability to add display-only fields onto an existing form which don't already exist. For example, on this PO receipt entry screen, there is no entered by user. To add that field, we go into System, Customization, Windows Designer, find the PO receipt entry screen, give our new screen that we want to create a name, and save. We can then give access either to be available or as a default form for all users. From here we go into the designer menu and we want to add our field here. So we highlight the supplier details section and view and add a display field. First off, I want to add a label. So we put that position where we wish it to go. And save. We then want to add a second field to this section. So once again, add display field. This time we want to choose a property. And once again, move that to where we wish it to be. And save. Let's now go back to our PO receipt entry screen. And bring that up. We now have an entered by field on here, and we can scroll through and see who the entered by user was. An often requested enhancement is the ability to be able to search for fields on a report. We now have had the ability added to be able to add search fields onto things such as customer codes, suppliers, invoice numbers, etc. There is some setup involved, so if you aren't familiar with the report writer, then please reach out to your consultant to either set these up for you or give you some training. The report parameter search fields are set up first, and then they are able to be added as search fields onto the parameters of your report. Once that is all done, then your report parameters now have a search field here where you can search for the customer you want in this case, rather than having to enter it manually. Another handy feature is the ability to move one screen off onto a second desktop. For example, you may have an invoice up and you'd like to see some information on this item. That item though is now covering your invoice screen. So if you use Windows Float, you can drag this screen off onto your second desktop. Once you've finished looking at both of those screens, you just use Window Dock to bring that screen back onto the initial screen again. This plus button here brings up a number of options you may not be familiar with. Clicking on it will initially bring you up the menu tree, which is a duplicate of the menus along the top, so you can use it to make your way through. Or you can enter a search word in here if you can't remember where a menu is that you're looking for. Hitting enter will bring up a list of all the menus where that word is contained, and you can double click to open that menu. We also have the global search, so that will search through file maintenances, documents, etc., looking for the search term that you entered. So for here, for example, entering Jones, I can see 3 employees, 2 customers, some sales orders, and some jobs. The favourites and the bookmarks menu are from whatever you have flagged as a bookmark or a favourite under the workflow menu. We also have the most recently used, so that if, for example, you had been searching for a record, looked at that record and then decided you didn't need it anymore, but then realised actually I did, rather than having to go back through the menu, you can just come in here and double click to bring up that record again.
During the user group, a few questions were raised that we would like to share with our wider audience. The first question was, is there a way to close and open periods for multiple modules? Yes, with the right script, you can easily update current and last open calendar periods with just a few clicks. To access this feature, navigate to System, then Utilities, System Scripts, and select Generic to open the drop-down, and then select Calendar, update current and last open calendar periods, and select to run the script. And this will allow you to select your periods and modules. It's that simple. And remember, you can control access to this script using the User Security to System Scripts app, ensuring only authorized users can make these changes. Next up, we have a handy app recommendation that can save you time and headaches. App 10135, Bulk Deleting of Batch Transactions. This app allows you to efficiently delete batches created in error, whether imported via free or API payment selections. It's a convenient solution for quickly rectifying mistakes and maintaining accuracy in your transactions. Lastly, let's address a common question. How can we manage inactive users to ensure they no longer appear in drop-downs? Simply untick the Is Active flag to remove inactive users from assigning approvers. Additionally, you can set the account to be locked or adjust access to specific companies as needed. It's a straightforward process that helps keep your user list organized and up to date. And there you have it, some quick tips and insights to help you make the most of MYOB Greentree. Remember, these features and apps are designed to streamline your workflow and enhance your user experience. If you have any further questions or would like to explore these topics in more detail, do not hesitate to reach out to your dedicated consultant.